Frontier City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
Sunday's speaker is another words and music presentation that has become a standard feature. This week we are welcoming David S. Lee, who will speak to us about my life as a Chinese and Taiwanese pop star. David is an international award-winning record artist, producer, digital engineer and lecturer. He went to the US at the age of 13 and later majored in computers and music at the University of Houston. At 23, he opened his recording studio and production company operating for over 20 years. His clients included producers from Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Billy Joel, movie soundtracks with Superman, Tender Mercy, and many, many more. So, let's hear from David S. Lee and give him a big warm welcome. David.
It's great to be here. Good morning, gentlemen, ladies. I'm David. Can you guys all hear okay? I was very honored, invited by Ren. In fact, I met Ren in a little tutu, back bus, in Pattaya on the First Street. And about 4 years ago, and Ren invited me to join this club this morning and share my life journey as a singer, as a recording artist in Asia. During the process, if you guys want to ask me, stop me and ask any question, I'd be very happy to do so. And I started out my journey. I went to America when I was 13. During that time, Taiwan just got kicked out from the United Nations. My father was a general in the army in Taiwan with the Chiang Kai-shek. And the Communist Party swore to take over Taiwan at that time. My father spent his last saving and bought the last airline ticket and put me on the airline, sent me to America. And I went to the US and stayed with my sister in Texas. And when I was there in Texas, a few years later, when I started my university at the University of Houston, I started majoring in music. I played piano when I was little because my mother was a piano teacher. I played piano since I was 5. And, but my father retired from Army and came to Texas and discovered that I was hanging around with a whole bunch of hippies and playing rock and roll and smoking dope already. And he was so pissed and angry. And he was grabbing a knife one day and trying to kill me. He said, I killed so many Japanese, I don't want a son like this. So he went to the kitchen, tried to grab a knife and chase after me, tried to kill me. And I had a long-haired hippie. I mean, you can picture, I had a real long hair all the way down here. And he grabbed the scissor and tried to cut my hair, and I just kept on running. So, but he was so angry, and he just couldn't put up with me, and he said I gave up. So he moved to Florida to stay with another sister living in Gainesville. And then one night, he called me and he said, I beg you not to stay in the music business. You can study anything you want, computer or anything, become a lawyer, a doctor, whatever you want, but just don't do music anymore. And he will sell anything he owns just to help me to pay the tuition. And I politely said, Dad, I will think about it. I hung up the phone that night about 9 o'clock. 2 hours later, my sister from Florida called, your father just had a high blood pressure and died. And said, "What? You need to fly to Florida right away." So I went to the next door neighbor and borrowed the money and got a little money for the airline ticket, flew to Florida, and went to my father's funeral. That was when I was about 16 years old, my freshman year in college. But because my math was really good in the school, and during the high school years, I was recruited by NASA because we were living in Houston. I was recruited by NASA to do a weekly training. So about at age 18, when I was a third year in the university, and NASA called me, said, "Would you be interested in come over to work for us?" I said, "Sure, I'd love to." But they asked me, "What do you major?" At the time, because my father just died, so the next semester, I signed up. I studied a major in computer science. I dropped my music, as my father's wish. I started majoring in computer science. And NASA called at the time. I said, "I'm majoring in computer science." NASA said, "Well, great, come on over." So I went to NASA, and this guy took me, went into a hangar. I will show the picture later on for you guys. I saved lots of pictures, and because I took my daughter back to the U.S. about 3 years ago actually went through inside of NASA. So I took some photos, and I can show you later on. But anyway, this supervisor took me into the big hangar and gone through the security gates one after the other. At the end, what I saw in front of my eyes is the space shuttle. And he then gradually took me all the way into the cockpit. And I sat inside the cockpit. And the boss said, "You report to here every night at 10:30 in the evening. You finish your work at 8 o'clock in the morning so you can go back to your school." That worked out the best. So I started working for NASA in a program called SAIL, Shuttle Avionic Integrated Laboratory. I was the astronaut's little assistant for about a year and a half. After that, I did pretty well. Actually, I did terrible in NASA. But one day, my boss told me to take a computer down from the top of the hangar and bring it to the lab for repair. And I had no idea how to take that computer down from a big rack. So I took it out, forgotten to release the latches, and the whole computer just fell down on the floor in a big hangar. And you can hear that big echo all the way from that big hangar, the whole thing. So all the crew members came over and said, "Boy, you're getting ready to be fired tomorrow morning." But anyway, making a long story short, my boss called me in 8 o'clock in the morning. Said, "David, I heard what happened last night." But anyway, another guy came in and said, "Boss, the computer is fixed." Just because I dropped it, because sometimes you drop the computer, you reseal all the circuit board and all this thing, intermittent problem, it's fixed. So anyway, 2 months later, I actually got an Outstanding Performance Award from NASA. And they didn't fire me and gave me an Outstanding Performance Award. But at that time, I was writing music. I bring my little keyboard to the space shuttle cockpit, writing my music when the boss isn't around. And then I was writing lyrics. I write music, and I have a lyric partner. Her name was Valerie. One day, Valerie invited me to go to her home for a barbecue party. And Valerie suddenly asked me a question, said, "David, what would you like to do 5 years from now?" I said, "Well," just about when I was ready to answer her question, she said, "Stop. I want you to really think clear before you tell me the answer." So I paused about 30 seconds, 2 minutes. And then Valerie said, "Are you ready?" I said, "Yes, I'm ready now." I said, 5 years later, I would like to do music every day with a top pro in the business. And I would like to have an album on the market. She said, "If that's what you really wanted to do, so the 4th year, you should have a record contract ready. The 3rd year, you should have all your record music recorded. And the 2nd year, you should have demos all ready. On the first 6 months, you should have all the songs arranged. On the 2 months from now, you should have all your lyrics finished written. And then next week, you know what you do now, David? Anyway, it's a 5 years plan she gave me. I was so inspired, I was so inspired by her, this little story. Anyway, after listening to her, I just made a decision. I quit my job at NASA. I gave up my job with a top pay. At the time, I was getting $9.75 an hour. Back then, McDonald's minimum wage was $75 per hour. I was making about 10 times more than the minimum wages. And then I quit the job. While I was listening to a song called I Got a Name by Jim Croce. Anybody remember that song, Jim Croce, I Got a Name? I was listening to this song while I was driving through the desert. I finally decided I'm going to Hollywood. So the day I turned in my resignation, and the crew member asked me, said, David, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Hollywood. Yeah, that's what the reaction was. And then the crew member said, what are you going to be doing in Hollywood? I said, I'm going to be singing and doing my music. He said, yeah, you're crazy, you're full of, you know what. And then the one guy said, David, are you stupid or crazy or both? But anyway, I guess I'm all of the above. So I went to Hollywood. But strange thing happened. 6 years later, my album went on top of the chart in Asia. And during the time in Hollywood, I met with some of the top producers. A guy named Jerry Marcellino, he produced Michael Jackson, ABC, 1, 2, 3. I'll be there, you and I. You know, those songs are produced by Jerry Marcellino. Jerry saw me and we started co-writing music together. And then he later produced my first album. And then a guy named Michael Stewart, he produced Billy Joel, Piano Man, probably many of you know. And this Michael Stewart walked into my studio and I play piano, we start writing songs together. And so Michael Stewart produced my albums too. At the end, making long story short, I signed with a record company called Polygram, many probably remember, and then now it's known as Universal Records. So I signed with Polygram Records, and I did about 4 platinum and in my career. And the first album release went on #1 on the chart in Asia, stayed on #1 for 12 weeks. And everywhere, everybody listening to my songs and music in Asia and Chinese songs. So today, my music, if you go out, meet any Chinese people, you just say, I met with Lei Sushan, and his nickname is Grasshopper. People over in China, in Asia, they call me the Grasshopper. So so if you say, do you know Grasshopper? Probably most people do know. And they sing my songs being like a classic tunes now in Chinese music. But interesting thing, I make a long story short, 18 years ago, I wrote a book called Challenging Your Faith. Inside of that book, I had a chapter entitled Visualize Yourself in 5 years. And that article has become so popular on Google, on the internet. It's been sent all over Asia and it's been translated into English and Chinese. A couple of years ago, I had another book released, published. So I entitled that book called Visualize Yourself in 5 years. It's a motivational book, inspirational book about my life story and give the students 21 different chapters on how to pursue their dream. However, today I'm just an old professor teaching digital engineering at the university in Taiwan. Also, I'm hosting a visualize yourself every year, a summer retreat at the Coast Summit, which we just finished last week. So those are my 2 students, came to the summer retreat and they came with me today, and I invited them to come with us. But anyway, so that's about what I'm doing. I just show a little video clip. How's that? I'll show you a little picture, sharing with you. And if you wanted to ask me any question about China, before I show the video, In 1989, I brought the Harlem Globetrotters to China for the first time in history. Harlem Globetrotter was touring in Japan, while their next country to go was Korea. In 1989, Korea had a riot, a coup, you probably remember. And Harlem Globetrotters tour got canceled. So the general manager from the Harlem Globetrotter, Joe Anzavino, he called me in the middle of the night. He said, David, you're superstars over in Asia. Can you help me? Do you know any promoter can host our tour in Asia? So I helped Harlem Globetrotters try to put a tour together in 2 weeks. Nobody wanted to host the Harlem Globetrotters in 2 weeks, but only one country, China, Beijing. Beijing said, come on over, we'll take care of the Harlem Globetrotter. Make a long story short, I took the Harlem Globetrotter to China for the first time. So Globetrotters later on gave me the entire rights, management rights to Asia and Russia. And later I took the Globetrotter to Moscow, to Russia, USSR back then. And then later, they have another company under Harlem Globetrotters called Ice Capades. Many people know the Ice Capades with Dorothy Handles. And then I took the Ice Capades to China for 150 shows in China, doing a big tour with a 40-footer container, 85 crew members. But interesting thing is they pay me lots of money and millions, so really cash. So I kind of put millions of US dollar cash in my briefcase, and in the middle of the night, I kind of changed my clothes, become a local fisherman, sneak out of the hotel back room and across the border. But make a long story short, we make so much money, it's like a money laundry kind of business, you know, I love to do illegal business. So we just carry this tons and tons of cash out of China, and then later on I went to Russia, and we carried tons and tons of US cash out of Russia. And because of that, all the agents in Hollywood all heard about me. So then later on, cats from the really useful group by Andrew Lloyd Webber, they all came to me and asked me if they could, if I could represent them for Asia. So my company at the top, the peak of my company, entertainment company, I had about 140 shows under my belt, including David Copperfield's magic show and all that, and including even some politicians, Jimmy Carter, you know, they all kind of came to me and asked me if I could kind of host them to bring them to Asia. But none of that really came together. But anyway, our main business was still with the Harlem Globetrotters and the Ice Capades. But today I'll show you some photos and to bring back some memories. And are you ready? So here's those are the albums that I've done. Some of them on Polygram. Some later I switched after 7 years with Polygram. I later signed with Sony, and then some later album here was with Sony Records. And then this is a photo when I was young. Now I got all this white hair and hair and all that, but that was when I was young. And then when I was when I was popular, they even had a cartoon series, daily cartoon series on the newspaper every day. So every day you open a newspaper, you see David Lee, Grasshopper, the cartoons and all that. So it was really funny to watch yourself, people drawing a cartoon, you know. Because I dance real crazy. I used to dance like this. I dance like a really crazy dancing. So anyway, so they even had they made a TV series about my life story, 6 hours TV series, and about my life story. This is when I was working in Hollywood in my studio, and this is my two daughters, Vanessa and Jasmine. Jasmine is right now at in New York at the NYU, New York University, studying international relations in graduate school. And Vanessa, my older daughter, Vanessa, she is into a cryptocurrency, the blockchain business in Taiwan, doing the high tech, that kind of thing. And this, but while they're doing their business, but Vanessa and Jasmine, they both love music. So this is Vanessa's album, but this is Jasmine's album. But none of those albums got released because they refused to do any music to after their father's footsteps. So they want to have their own career of their own, anything but music. But that's when they were young, they were doing those music. And this is my first wife, Susan. She used to be a Hollywood model, and we married for about 5 years. And I bought a 20 acres land you're from LA, in Shadow Hills, if that rings anything. I bought a 20-acre land in the Shadow Hills area, not far from the Universal City, where you can see the entire city of Los Angeles. But because this divorce, I went to jail. She called, one day we had a fight, and she got really angry, so she started dialing 911, you know. In California, when you dial 911, the first thing the police come is to put you in handcuff and take you to jail for a few days. So I stayed in jail for a few days, and then just that happened. That was during the Labor Day's holiday, long weekend. So I kind of stayed in jail for 2 weeks, you go through the court process. But the funny thing is when I out of jail, I had to hop on the airplane and fly back to Asia for the next concert. It was really stressful. And this is Kara Turner. If you guys watching the TV series, Kara Turner used to be my secretary for 5 years. And now she's become the superstar in the household name. Kara Turner known as Harris Sim in the TV series Jack. And if you go on YouTube, if you search for me, David Lee, and you will see a few music videos, me and Terry, me with Carrie, and in the music video. And this is Charlene. You probably know this song, I've Never Been to Me. People remember that song, I've Never Been to Me. Oh gosh, she had a big hit in UK and Australia, I'm pretty sure, yeah. And Charlene is my musical partner, and we toured together, and we did a duet together called Before You. And about 18 years ago, it went on the Billboard chart. And Charlene was we're like a real close partner together. And those are some of the video that you can find on YouTube. If you just type in Lei Su Shan, you probably can find all kinds of my video channel, YouTube and all that. I don't have a video channel, but those are put together by the fan. I'm kind of really low key, which I will explain to you later. You're going through the fame and fortune in life. This part of my life, I like to keep it as low-key as possible. I actually refuse to attend any social events in Pattaya. I love Pattaya because here I feel like very comfortable and free. I don't have any pressure, no media chase after me. So I feel very relaxed to be part of you in here. So, but this is the NASA that I used to work, and that's there's a big hangar. The space shuttle is actually inside of the building. So I took my daughter and my brother-in-law Stanton. He's a PhD from Purdue University, and he works in the space station for 45 years. He devoted his entire life for the space station. And so me and my 2 daughters went to NASA, and this is in front of and this is the space shuttle cockpit that I work every night. And I took my little board, my keyboard, because I used to play in a country music band. So I could memorize all the Eagles music, Desperado, why don't you come through your senses? So I had to remember all those chords and on the keyboard, so I don't have any time to do that. So during the night when my boss isn't around, I bring a little keyboard and bring all my music score inside of the cockpit and do my homework over there. And then though this is the lectures that I'm giving right now, I go to China sometimes, go to universities, go to different functions, do lecture speeches for visualization, visualize yourself in 5 years, helping people make plans in their life, and helping people how to pursue their dreams in life. And this is the very first book I actually wrote. It's called Hollywood Music Production 20 Years. This is the book I wrote, now become the textbook in Chinese in the digital engineering. I started my recording studio when I was 23 years old, back in 1978. So I wrote a book about the audio technology. In this book, it became pretty popular now. And this is the second book I wrote called Challenge Your Faith. And then this is a recent book that I published called Visualize Yourself in 5 Years. And this is my classroom. I teach the computer, digital engineering. And this is, wow, the Santa Claus. That's during Christmas. Every Christmas, I dress up like that to go to class. So, and this is my studio, my private studio in Taipei. I have a little private studio, which is a 3D, 11.1 surround digital studio. And those are my students. They come to the studio, do the movie productions or recording. They actually come to do the work. And this is the, and on the spare time, on the weekend spare time, I teach kids English classes, free English classes. So so at the end of their semester, this has nothing to do with the university. This is like a spare time. So even some kids will join us. So at the end, I give everybody a little certificate to complete 18 weeks of my English class. All I'm doing is just bring those kids together, and I read off the CNN News, Fox News, or Al Jazeera. Just bring the English newspaper, and show them what's going on outside of Taiwan. And this is the Visualize Yourself in 5 Years music tour, and this is what I do now on the spare time, and to go around and giving lectures and all that. And this is the last TV interview I did about almost a year ago now, because the book's released. The publisher asked me to go on a couple of important TV interviews, so I did. I did 3, and that's about it. And so this is a TV interview. This is the newspaper magazine coverage. So this is the picture that I do with the in China. We're doing the lecture. And this is the Kosamet. And so I bring the students to Kosamet, and we have, and this is the student I bring to Kosamet. We have this summer retreat at the Kosamet. 4 days, 3 nights, summer retreat. And in the morning, I bring them together to do morning meditation, and for 1 hour before breakfast. And I just help them to think what they really want in their life. Really think through clear and find that answer within themselves. That's what I'm doing. And this is the lecture that I give at Kosamet, a 4 days, 3 nights lecture to students. And at the end of their lecture, their summer retreat, I give them a little certificate. And this is the wall that given by students and my daughters. This is what I call a love wall. So the card they gave me, I stick it on the wall. And this picture right here is with the president of Taiwan, Ma Ying-jeou, President Ma, a few years ago. And that's it, gentlemen. This is my story. Huh? Oh, you want to play a little video? Just maybe 30 seconds to show you what we look like, and on stage you may find it interesting. This is me and my partner Jamie. Jamie is a 2-time Grammy Award winner, electric violin player. He's with a band called Shadow Facts. I don't know if it's a new age group, got 2 Grammy Awards. And Jamie and I, we've been partnered together for a while, 30 years ago, 30 years from the studio. So that's the 25th anniversary tour. I love Elton John, I love Billy Joel, so you can tell my music style is very much influenced by these 2 great artists. But those are the China television, this is Taiwan television, the people imitate. Those are the people imitating me. They see my songs in the Chinese Got Talent. There's kind of a vocal contest. So there are many people singing my songs, different people singing my songs, and those are the remakes of my song. And even the remake made it #1 on the top of the chart now. So those are the different artists imitating me or singing my songs in the vocal contest. And this is Teresa Tan. She died about 10 years ago, but she was a big star in Asia. Teresa Tan. If you go anywhere in China, you mention her name, you will. Everybody know her. So that time she interviewed me on the national TV shows. I think it was on the music, some kind of Grammy Awards. So this is in China. But anyway, this is about 3 minutes, 5 minutes long. But just show you, we can end it. I guess before I end it, should I bring a song to you guys? Or okay, you all hear a song. Before I came over, Ren, I wasn't thinking about singing anything. But Ren said you got to do something, so I prepared one song. But let me change this. But anyway, hello, testing. Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3. If you work, you have to. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's coming through okay. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3. Let me know if 1, 2, 3, test. 1, 2, 3, test. 1, 2, 3, test. 1, 2, 3, test. Okay, just for a little fun. But before I start, I wrote this song when I was about 23 years old. And it's a song called Lately. After I wrote it, my girlfriend Patricia put the lyrics together. And she secretly submitted this song to the American Song Festival. A few months later, I got an award from American Song Festival. And I was just so surprised. And later we put this song into my first album. And it's produced by Michael Stewart. I'll try. This audio system, we just set it up quickly. I don't know if it works okay. If it's not, let me know. Okay, yeah, go ahead. You've been on my mind, baby. Thought I'd never find a person who could be my friend. You taught me how to live again. Lately, you've been on my mind. Lately, my skies are all blue, baby. But I'm feeling something new. I just can't say how good it's been. If I thought I'd learn to laugh again. Lately, I just want to be with you. More than a friend, you're more than a lover. You taught me how to be free. And I'm thinking lately of asking you, babe, to spend your whole life with me. Ooh, lately, the rain's gone away, baby. The sun's gonna stay. Now I know where I'm going to. You gave me strength to see it through. Lately, I'm just so in love with you. You're more than a friend. You're more than a love. I'm asking you, baby, spend your whole life loving me. Question you may have, if I can answer anything you'd like to know about China or Asia or anything about the current trade war, if you'd like to know. I don't have any inside connection with the Xi.
I really don't have a question, but I just wanted to get up and acknowledge my mate David for doing this, and I thought it was one of the most delightful talks we've ever had at the club. It was just beautiful.
Thank you.
And, he originally suggested, oh, I'll give a talk on Taiwan and China. I said, no, screw that. I want you to talk on my life as a Chinese pop star. And it was really special. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Rand. Thank you. Any question I may help to answer or anything, please feel free. There's one, okay. There's one right there.
Thank you, David. That's brilliant.
Thank you, sir.
I'm quite a fan of Chinese pop, and I just wondered, Priscilla Chan, actually, and I wondered what was the evolution of sort of Mandarin pop and Cantonese pop? Is there much competition, or are they much the same?
Actually, I don't want to come across but in 1982, when my album started breaking in Asia, actually we kind of took the Chinese music from a traditional folk music into more like a rock and roll style. In fact, the song you just heard is more like a ballad, but I do many other songs pretty rock, very rock and roll and very contemporary. But I would say in 1982, after my album broke into the market, the Chinese music had a big revolutionized the entire style. Today, you probably know many major artists like Jay Chou. I don't know if you're Jay Chou and the Batman, and Ame. Those artists, they always say I'm the one that changed the entire music industry in Chinese music. So hope helped to revolutionize the music style. So thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, David.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
I don't know if you want to address it or not, but are things with Dalu getting better or worse?
With the trade war?
Just the whole situation with China and Taiwan.
Chinese about the cross-strait relationship? That's a tough question. He's referring to the China is pursuing reunification. Beijing is pursuing reunification with Taiwan. Taiwan is pursuing independence. This is like a head-to-head collision. If you ask me what's the future will be, I really don't have an answer right now because Taiwan people are pretty much don't want to be a part, most of them, especially after this Hong Kong protest last week. Taiwan people really don't want it to be any part of China. But China really wanted to have a hold of Taiwan. I don't know if you guys, to show something very interesting, if you open the Google map, if you look at the satellite image of Google map, I'll show you real quickly just to share some entertainment. If you show the satellite image of Taiwan, if you turn on the Google Maps satellite image to Taiwan, you will notice one thing. All the coastline of mainland China is very shallow water. Because of that, all the submarines moving around anywhere near the mainland China will be detected by the US satellites. But there's only one port in Taiwan. On the eastern part of Taiwan is very, very deep water, very dark on the satellite. That's the military base that Beijing trying to take over. Once they can put submarines in that port, there's nobody, no Western, no US satellite can be locked in. So they can go anywhere as far as Hawaii to all the way to Los Angeles, West Coast. So that's why China really wants Taiwan as a strategic military strategic purpose. Hope that will enlighten someone. Okay, yes sir.
Hi, my name is Jeff Watt.
Yes sir.
Cousins in the music business in
Yes.
LA, Waddy. I don't know if you ever met him, but I'm wondering, I saw Rocket Man last night. It seems like you're the rock, I don't know, have you seen it?
I know Elton John.
You're the Rocket Man of China. Have they considered making a movie about you? I think rock and roll movies have a big future, you know.
Well, if you want to make one, I'm open for one.
I'm sick of these comic book movies. I'd love to see a movie about your life. That would be
Thank you, sir.
chance.
Thank you, sir. I'll be honored. If anybody want to put a movie together, I'll be honored to do that. Yes, sir. To help other young people, I'll be happy to. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good job. You say you do country and western also?
Pardon me?
You said you do country and western also?
I used to do bluegrass. If anybody know what bluegrass is.
Sure, sure.
Okay, let's hear bluegrass. When I was living in Houston, I was living next door to Gillies Club. If that rings any bells. Gillies Club, one of the biggest country stars back then. I had to play bluegrass music with rock and roll beer drinking, band members.
Yeah, it seems to be a big thing here in Thailand. Like, you can't go anywhere where you don't hear country road, That's a given, you understand that, But I go to a few bars here in town, clubs,
Right.
and I like to get up and sing, and it's always Johnny Cash and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Johnny Cash, yes.
Yeah. Right.
Garth Brooks, Johnny Cash, those are my favorites. I love country music. So, anyway.
Ring of Fire.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My friend from LA, Daily News. Because you told me you're from Daily News. I actually worked at a Daily News computer department for 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You've reminded me of some really wild and crazy times in my life. In the early 80s, I was a vice president and director of a place called the Studio Group. We had 10,000 square foot video sound stage. We had a 40-track recording studio, state of the art. And we did a lot of videos and stuff there, a lot of music. And
Right.
I come in the office at 10 o'clock in the morning and Shaka Khan's doing lines on my desk.
Wow.
I mean, crazy times.
Yes.
Good time.
Great time. Great
Yeah.
time. The 80s was the best time in Hollywood.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I had the best time. Thank you, sir. It's great.
Thank you,
and
David.
also, we worked at Daily News, if I recall correctly. You told me once, right? You worked for Daily News or with Daily News?
For a newspaper.
Yeah, for newspaper.
That's
Yeah,
no longer around.
no longer.
We don't talk about
Yeah,
it.
we talk about that later. Yeah. Cool. So great. Yeah. Anybody, I can help you answer any questions. Yes, ma'am. There's one over there. So it was a great memory that we had so many great musicians that we could. My dream finally came true after 5-6 years. And, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Thank you very much for a great presentation. It was a lot of fun.
Thank
You said that you originally wanted to come and talk about China and Taiwan. I hope you come back and do that. I think that would be very interesting.
Okay, thank you very much. I took the Harlem Globetrotters to China. That's because I was very lucky to work with you guys are videotaping this. I'm working with very, very high level people directly connected to Deng Xiaoping's family. and they allowed that door to be open back then. So it was quite interesting. So Deng Xiaoping had some inside connection. I didn't know them, but their relatives were living in Los Angeles at the time, and through some stockbroker, financial people, they introduced me to them. So we finally ended up being able to take the Harlem Globetrotters to China. That was how the whole thing started. But after, for the next 10 years, we brought so many shows to China. We brought a BMX motorcycle show to China. We brought a female bodybuilders to China. And it was crazy. We brought so many shows to China and slowly, gradually opened up to China, become a free market. I witnessed, at the time, the first time when I went to Harlem, took the Globetrotters to China, I was actually in front of Tiananmen Square, and we were walking out across all the students, protesters, to the American Embassy and seeking the ambassador's help. But anyway, it was a long story, but it was amazing to see the whole story. Yes, sir.
On your left.
Thank you, David, for
Yes,
sharing
ma'am.
your inspiring story and
Thank
achieving your dream. And you achieved your dream, you went to Hollywood.
Yes.
But then you're suddenly in Taiwan. Did you pursue a musical career in Hollywood in the States and then go to Taiwan, or did you just start
That was
performing
a
in
good
Taiwan?
question. Yes, ma'am, thank you. I was in Hollywood. I did a few record releases in Hollywood. Didn't get anywhere. My first single is called "Take Me There." That single. But anyway, Jerry Marcellino, this gentleman from Michael Jackson, after he finished producing me, he disappeared on me. And suddenly, but anyway, 6 months later, his son called me back. His son called me back. He said, "David, let me help you to finish your album." And then one day, I walked back in the studio. He gave me a big, huge hug, just like a big Italian guy. And then he took my arms into a little dark lounge room and asked me to both kneel down on the floor. And Jerry said, "David, let's pray together. From this point on, let's do our music, glorify His name, but not ours." Those words I remember even till today. And Jerry Marcellino took me to the small room, and then we finished this whole album. After we finished the album, Jerry personally offered to take me to every radio stations to do interviews. So, and gradually, slowly, that song went on the Billboard chart. And it went on the Gavin, R&R, back then, R&R chart, Gavin reports and all that. And then it went on the chart, and then later, Polygram Records in Asia saw it and picked up the album, got the licensing rights. But they didn't know I was a Chinese guy. They thought they signed a US American artist, David Lee. They didn't know I was a Chinese guy. So, but at the same time, I got nominated for the most outstanding young man of America that year. So some newspaper company from Taiwan invited me to go back to Taiwan to meet with the high officials. I said, sure, I'd go. So I got invited by the government of Taiwan to go back to receive my awards as Outstanding Young Man of America. But when I was in Taiwan, they say, I told some people in Taiwan, say, Polygram Records in Hong Kong has just signed to buy my licensing rights for Asia. They said, you gotta be kidding me. We don't buy any Chinese artists for American music. So the guy, Mr. Huang, Mr. Huang, the general manager from Polygram in Taiwan, picked up the phone. He thought I was a phony guy, a fake. He picked up the phone and called Hong Kong head office directly. He said, did you guys buy the licensing rights from David Lee? They said they did. So as soon as they found out I was a Chinese guy, they said, Dan, can you fly to Tokyo, meet with our chairman, Mr. Norman Chen? And that's how the long story made. That's how everything connected together. And then I later signed the Polygram. And then after I signed the Polygram, and then become a big hit, the whole Asia. Now my first album was 10 songs on the album, but 8 of them were in English. Only 2 songs were in Chinese. So it was a very strange phenomenon where a Chinese artist made a huge in that market with English, mostly English album material. So that's how I started. Okay, any other question I can help you answer? Ren, we're done? Class dismissed? Okay. here very often, like a family, like a home to me. I'm done. Go on. You gonna? Okay.
If you'd just like to step down
Yes,
here,
sir.
David. This is a certificate of appreciation. It's almost as good as a Grammy,
Okay.
if not better.
Yes, sir.
And unfortunately, we didn't put Grasshopper on
No
Dave.
problem.
But David Lee, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. And, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we hope next time we're in Paddy, you come back and see us. Obviously,